Hey, Eric, did you know that people who enjoy this podcast can support us?
How can they support us, Chris?
They can go to patreon.com/retroam to find out more. Now, would you like to hear some hot sounds that I have recorded?
Yokai.
Welcome to Retrograde Amnesia, a comprehensive podcast about Xenogears. On this podcast, we'll attempt to blend our youthful hopefulness with the adult angst that drove us to make a podcast about a game we weren't sure was still our favorite video game, but it's probably still our favorite video game. My name is Chris. Tonight, I am joined by my friend Eric. Hi, Eric.
Hello, I'm Eric.
Was this your favorite video game when we started doing this? I mean, top 4 or 5?
I would put it in top 10. Whenever someone asks what my favorite game is, my brain draws from a list of about 20.
Yeah.
That could go in any certain order at any given time.
I always say this one, but I'm always like, yeah, well, it probably doesn't hold up so well because, It's been a long time and, it's kind of a mess. But the deeper we go into this exercise, the more impressed I am with all the things this video game pulled off. The thing I had forgotten the most is all of the camera work, and they really leveraged that 3D the polygonal backgrounds to get into it.
We didn't talk about it at the time, but something that I regret not talking about is during the Vandercom battle, how his spider-like gear was framed like a horror movie, like crawling out from behind the submarine. There's some really interesting camera work here that was pretty impressive for 3D games at the time.
Yeah, I don't think anything had done anything quite as interesting as this until Metal Gear Solid, I guess. I'm sure there's some examples, but this is probably the first one in a JRPG sense.
Right. Overall, the game's much better than I thought it would be. My current impression of it now is it's held back by its localization, but it's not the fault of the localizers.
Yeah, I agree with that. And some of it's actually kind of good, and some of it's kind of really bad. You never know. It's hit or miss on a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
It's like you can tell where they spent a lot more time kind of putting things together. I mean, if you think back to when they were planning the assault, the scene that we're going to talk about tonight is the chapter secret weapon, but we'll get to that a little bit later. When they were planning this assault on the Goliath headquarters, Ellie talked about how she used to sneak into this base or something, and then I think that line is never made good upon for the rest of the time. So I wonder if that was a miss on the localizations part or the writing or what. It's strange. But before we get into that, do we have any egregious oversights and or corrections from previous podcasts?
I think we have 3.
Oh, wow. I have 0, so lay it on me.
Well, my first one is actually an apology on behalf of Chris. Chris keeps saying Bloodvidic. Folks, it's Bloodivik. We're going to hold Chris to Bloodivik.
Bloodivik.
Right.
Bloodivik.
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 Okay.
The other 2 are, we missed, a Twitter user let us know, we missed playing The Valley Where the Wind is Born on episode 1 during the sequence where we worked our way up to Seiden's house.
House on the Hill, yes.
House on the Hill, yeah. The Valley Where the Wind is Born was not played. We'll get to it later. I've been waiting for it to appear in the story again.
Yeah, it's got to.
Yeah, it has to. Nothing's played once in this game.
Initializing fake net.
And then second is like an oversight and also a question, something I may not have realized, been subconscious. Is Steel Giant always playing during gear fighting sequences?
Awkward silence. I don't think so, but it does a lot in this next section.
This next section, Steel Giant plays a whole lot, and it really gave me pause to be like, is this, because I know it doesn't happen on the world map, but on like special sections where you're supposed to be in your gear, I'm wondering if Steel Giant always plays then, or if it's always the B-side to battle music.
For example, we may have to consult the fake net on the Stalactite Cave chapter, because that was the last one that I recall. That was like last gear type
we were
dungeon. Yeah. So we might have to check on that.
Initializing fake net.
Steel Giant was not played anywhere in Stalactite Cave, and Eric is probably wrong about this one, folks.
Well, the fake net never lies.
The fake net never lies, except that one time. So here's where we're at. We've escaped the Night Purge of Kislev. The purge was only partially successful. Mm-hmm. Like some people died, but the one that they wanted to purge was not...
To purge.
Was not purged.
If you look at the bitmap screen for Nortune, there's pieces of it that are blacked out now too. So it took some battle damage.
Also, something unique has happened right here, or at least something that has happened at this point in the game that has not happened yet. A lot of plot lines, with the exception of Bart, a lot of plot lines are converging. Like, this is the first time we've had more than 3 characters in our party.
Yeah.
Rico is here, and I'm guessing Rico is here to stay. Ellie seems like she's turned the page in her character development, and now she's on our side. We know Seiden's going to be with us all the fucking time.
Yeah.
And things are converging. And it took a long time to get to this point. I mean, we're like 25, 30 hours into the game now at this point.
We're not done yet either.
Yeah.
But it does seem like we're at the part where they've stopped assembling characters and now you're on a mission.
Yeah. It kind of like, when I think back on it, when I think about the characters of Xenogears, I think about this group of 5 characters. The 4 that we have now plus Bart. I know there are more to come, but I've kind of forgotten about them, who they are, what they represent, and why they're in the game.
There's one that I had forgotten about completely as being a member of our party.
Yeah, it goes places. And we do know the developers have said that like Margie was going to be a playable character at some point.
And Dan.
Dan, have any of the developers or any of the people working on this game explicitly said that, or are we just surmising that based on the fact that he has a lot of animations?
I'm not sure. I read it somewhere, but it's hard to, when you read stuff without writing it down, it's hard to parse what somebody on GameFAQs said who seemed credible versus actual interviews.
Everybody on GameFAQs is credible.
Right. But what is credible, though, is the Xenogears Blogspot study guide, which has the alternative name for this chapter.
Yes, this chapter is called Secret Weapon, or...
Get the Secret Weapon.
Get the Secret Weapon. I believe that we should probably get the secret weapon.
It's a noun. It's a mission instead of a noun.
Yeah, sure. I'm for it. Although I think we're on a nice little streak of the localized chapter title being a little bit better than the raw translation.
It's not bad. It's more efficient.
In order to get the secret weapon, our plan is to hijack an airship and escape Kislev airspace. I wonder where they got the idea to hijack an airship.
Oh, the Order 1886.
They took a time machine.
Yeah. Played that.
I've never played the Order 1886, but yeah. Did you know that Tetsuya Takahashi and Soraya Saga, his wife, both worked on Final Fantasy VI, which has the best Airjack?
Airjack's pretty good.
Final Fantasy VI has the best airship jacking sequence in all of video games because the right amount of circumstances had to come together. They had to have a party member that looked like the lead singer from the opera, and then they had to teach her how to sing and then insert her into the opera and then use her to lure the airship pilot and then jump on the airship.
So that was a full-on heist.
It was a full-on heist in Final Fantasy VI. In Xenogears, we do not get a full-on heist. It's like, let's go to the mountain and beat up some robots and take it.
One person has secret knowledge and we know which direction it's in, and I've seen a hologram of the planet's there. Seems big. I'm sure the 3 to 4 of us can infiltrate this thing and steal this ultra-secret weapon.
Sure, why not? But before, we are introduced to the world map at the beginning of this chapter. It's been a long time since we've had an opportunity to walk across the world map, although we don't really get to explore anything. It's just it's a single
straight
line.
shot.
If you try to go south to the Kislev-Ave border, it cuts you off and says it's too dangerous. You can kind of see a bunch of polygons there where it looks like there's a bunch of warships or gears or something that are preventing you from escaping.
That's cool. There's actually a front. I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a front there. I think that they could probably take them.
Yes. Yeah.
We have 4 gears at this time, and we're starting to get some information that these 4 gears might all be special, circumstantially special.
Except for Saitans, which no one said anything about. It was some old tin can, but since it's Saitans gear, it's going to be.
Yes. Actually, we can go ahead and talk about this now, but later, if you go on the Yggdrasil to the gear dock and you ask for the lowdown on Satan's gear, the Heimdall, you learn that it was excavated at the same time that Bart's gear was.
Perfect.
So,
pair of twins.
Adjacent.
I know you're already on the world map, but I did one last thing in D-Block.
Oh, there's a couple of important things that we have to go back in and do in D-Block. Okay. The first thing is to get Satan the fuck out of our party, because I don't want to be around him.
Yeah, you have to go back to the Wildcat or the Nun and switch your party out.
Yes.
I took Satan in my party too.
Oh, did you do that out of spite or just because you wanted to mess around with our new characters?
Our new characters were pretty behind as far as combo development, so I went outside and beat the crap out of some rhinos until I generated some Deathblows. Have you ever looked up as to how Deathblows are obtained?
I actually saw a video the other day. It is interesting.
Yeah, I thought it was just doing the combos over and over, but it is like a kind of a mathematical system of inputting certain commands and hoping stuff generates out. I gave up after trying to understand the math.
I think here's a good analogy, and you can find there's a good review, sort of a retrospective review on Xenogears done by a YouTube channel called Resonant Arc, and they kind of talk about the game, how it came together, and some of the systems. We can link that in the show notes. But if you think about each animation of each move, it essentially fills up a different bucket. So the first triangle, the second triangle, the third, the fourth, I think there's 2 squares and 1 X. Each time you do one of those, it fills up a bucket. And there are requisite buckets to be filled up for each death blow, depending on what the combination is. But the game never explains it to you, and it's not obvious how it happens, but that's how it works.
Yeah, I bet Luca could have told us that instead of 3 paragraphs about saving our video game.
And then
Chris spoiled pivotal chrono cross-plot information here, but through the use of technology, I removed it.
So, what'd you do in D-Block?
For some reason, I know in our last podcast, this could be an egregious oversight and correction. I said D-Block was no longer accessible anymore. Like, it wouldn't let me go in it. This time it did let me go in it, and guess who I checked up on?
Oh, the doctor?
Our friend the doctor. Chris, our friend the doctor, delivered to me the most incredible piece of dialogue in this video game.
Oh, okay.
You ready for this?
Yes, I didn't do this.
So you walk up to her, you check in with her. She's now called the Lady Doctor Diana.
Okay.
So that's her name. And she says, quote, "Yoo-hoo, how are you going? As I always thought, having plenty of work to do is what brings the most happiness. I'll keep doing my best. So you too keep up the fight. As I promised at Nortune, that's what I will do."
Oh. Did you tell her that this guy are sick and she needs to heal him?
But yeah, maybe. That's
wow.
exactly who her patient is. So she had like a traumatic brain injury on the way over here or something, because she used to be sharp and at it, man. And now she's
also has CTE?
Yeah. It's been communicated by Rico somehow.
Wow.
I was disappointed in that. I think that may lower her standing on the NPC best tier a little bit.
We are definitely doing that, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that we should start off with our Patreon bonus episodes being mostly us bullshitting about dumb things in this game before we get into anything super serious. So let's do it. Anything else in the D-Block before we go back to the world map? I've got a few notes on the world map.
That's all. I have some world map stuff as well.
Yeah, after I got Sight in my party, I also kind of tried to level up some death blows and whatnot. You have any notes on the pecking duck?
Yeah.
The pecking duck has a move called Hitchcock.
It's a pair of blue birds.
In Hitchcock, the Hitchcock move summons lots of birds.
Yeah.
It's a reference to Hitchcock.
Oh, God, I didn't even put that together.
The movie Birds.
Damn it. Yeah, nice job. The blue birds don't fly in all over the screen and attack you in that movie, do they?
I don't know if they're blue.
Isn't the movie in black and white?
Yeah, it's in black and white.
Initializing fake net.
It's actually in color.
Also, when it doesn't move at the bottom of the screen, there's like, you know how sometimes there's dialogue, like battle shouts or whatever? It just says pecking! Exclamation point. Duck! Exclamation point. Which is great. So I enjoyed beating up the ducks.
Ducks aren't typically violent, but I've had some run-ins with some geese recently.
Yeah. I saw those geese the other day in that parking lot. I've also played the Untitled Goose Game, but that's a different story.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah. I battled some rain frogs.
Yeah, I fought some of those too. They have a move that is like a water-based attack that melts Rico.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he takes more damage from it than anybody else does.
He must have low MDef.
Yeah, which is weird considering he spent a lot of time in those sewers, right? Maybe his immunity wore away from non-acidic water.
Are there any hobs in this area?
Yeah, I fought a bunch of hobs.
I have a user interaction from on Twitter from Feld4 or Feld the Fourth.
Hacker Alias.
Hacker Alias, yes. Told me, I didn't know this fun fact, but if you use a fire spell, which we have Ellie now, and she has a bunch of elemental nukes. If you use a fire spell on a hob, you get a hob stake every time.
Hell yeah.
So
I don't know that either. I love contextually appropriate stuff like that.
Yeah, it's great. Speaking of, Ellie is learning a bunch of sick spells right now, and I'm able to like use the ether doubler that I have that I don't deserve.
Yes.
To really just fuck some shit up with Ellie, because she's got some single elemental attacks and some whole party elemental attacks that she can use, and they're actually pretty good in her gear as well. So
I earned those, but I didn't use them.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good stuff. I don't know if it's ever appropriate or absolutely necessary to use throughout this next section, but it is a fun, different thing that you can do in addition to your combos and whatnot.
I usually play games like this very conservatively. We don't have a big ether pool point to draw from, and I'm always afraid, well, what if I have to heal here? What if there's no save point here? What if I have to lose 10 minutes of my life going back and doing something over again?
Yeah. Time is of the essence these days.
Did you find any rhinos?
I didn't.
They are kind of rhinoceros-looking things with they look like rhinoceros hybridized with anteaters, and they have a bird riding them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I love animal-on-animal stuff, so that was a very good treat for me.
Rico learns a death blow called Banderas.
Yeah.
And it's a Hurricane Rana. And it makes me wonder if Antonio Banderas has a wrestling background. Like, was he in any movies where he would do a Hurricane Rana? Do you know what a Hurricane Rana is?
Not especially, but tell our listeners.
Are you familiar with Rey Mysterio?
Yes, of course.
Jr., I guess. You know when he would jump up on the dude and wrap his ankles around him and then kind of whip the guy down to the mat using his ankles? Mm-hmm. That is a Hurricane Rana, and Rico learns that in the death blow Banderas.
Good Rey Mysterio pull. He killed a guy.
He might also be dead.
No, he's alive. He was wrestled last week.
Oh, no, that was...
Eddie Guerrero?
This is not a wrestling podcast.
All right.
I also encountered our friend Gonzalez in the forest.
Yes, there's more packs of Gonzalez's and packs of the ogre or the...
They're called dwarf.
Yes.
Which, he's not small, so maybe this is not a great localization. I mean, we have dwarves and elves and all these different fantasy references and some of the bad guys, but I think he's just a large forest-dwelling oaf. And... did you notice what his attacks are?
No.
In addition to like just clubbing you, he will pull like some sort of red energy ball out of his loincloth.
Oh boy.
And throw it up into the sky and then hit it with his club like a baseball bat. And then occasionally he will miss it.
Yeah, he misses in it.
Yeah, it lands on his head and bonks him for like 65 damage.
Yeah, that's good. I love stuff like that where the RNG can kind of screw the enemy over as easily as it can you.
Yeah. And that's all I have for the world map. Anything else?
Yeah, that's all I got. You proceed north, you cross a forest that takes you through a river, and then you go off to the east side toward a conspicuous gray building in the middle of the mountain. And
now it is time to hijack an airship.
So as soon as you walk in there, there's idling and machine factory warehouse noises, which if you've ever been into the back room of any kind of store, it sounds exactly like that with electronic stuff happening everywhere.
Yeah.
And what's absent here is the vague employees shouting profanities at dropping things or not getting stuff done.
Yeah, it's very quiet.
Very empty.
We are tiny.
Yeah, we're little.
If we're not in our gears, we are the tiny sprites that tip you off that you're supposed to be in a gear.
Yeah, that's a good kind of signifier that hit that L1, R1 button, get in your gears, some of that stuff.
It didn't register with me.
Uh-oh.
But I didn't.
Thank God there's no random battles.
Yeah, there's no battles there. At least I didn't get in any battles.
No, it's impossible to get in a fight in the first part.
And you can actually call your gear too if you need to. So.
Oh yeah, once you're in battle, I think you press up twice and it says call gear is the option. So it's a boring factory, but there's some interesting lighting on these walls. This is the PS1 era. There's still no real-time light sourcing, but they fake it pretty well in some of these areas.
And then there's a sort of a lone gear kind of standing in the middle of the corridor.
Fixbot.
I thought it was a Fixbot, a AI piloted Fixbot, but no.
Who's in it?
It's Hammer.
Of course it is.
Hammer, what are you doing here?
He says, mwahahaha.
Why would you say mwahahaha?
He opened all the locks for us. He has a Fixbot, and he says not to worry about any of the details.
He also appears to have ability to hijack gears.
Yep. I thought like gear piloting, you had to like go to some kind of school to do this. Like only Faye can do it innately somehow.
You've got to be able to contribute to the party's random battles in order to be able to hijack or pilot a gear. That was my understanding of this scenario. But Hammer has apparently circumvented that system and is now the pilot of the Fixbot. I think, does he sell you upgrades here?
Yes, he will sell you some stuff. I bought a lot of stuff. Interestingly enough, I tried to buy Ellie some stuff because she hasn't had anything in a while because it's been a while.
Yeah.
And she had a really good engine that wasn't for sale. And the game actually had the foresight to, when I was trying to buy like the most expensive engine, which is usually the best, it said, hey, her thing's better than this. Are you sure you want to do this?
Yeah.
Which is some good looking out for me game. Thank you.
Thank you, game. So this is a gear dungeon.
Yeah.
This is not a regular traversal dungeon. It's a gear dungeon. And we go through a door. I don't think you can go through the doors unless you are in a gear because they're large and it might force you to do so.
Yeah, there's some switches you have to hit all over the place too. But first, there are 3 battles that it forces you to have as you proceed through the next corridor.
I called these Chrono Trigger sections because they are... So the thing that Chrono Trigger did that no other JRPG really does, just because of the amount of sort of manual hand craftsmanship that is required to have the enemies placed on a map.
Non-random battles.
Non-random battles, but also they are specifically placed in certain areas. It's not like what they did with Chrono Cross, where there's just a thing wandering the map and you run into it and it goes to the battle sequence. Like everything...
It's framed specifically.
Yes, everything in Chrono Trigger is framed around where you encounter the enemy, and there's a lot of ifs, ands, or buts probably about where the enemies can be placed. So it's all very authored. And here we have a very authored section where when you go through the corridor, it specifically frames the scene behind you.
Camera's locked.
Right, camera's locked behind you, and you've got to progress forward. And as you progress forward, I think Steel Giant starts to play, and then gears and guns and different random battles emerge from the conveyor belts and walls and whatnot. It's really cool. It sort of disrupts the solitude and the loneliness of just going down a corridor and getting caught into random battles, and actually getting to something that feels a little bit more relevant to what's going on here.
It was the cinematic RPG before Parasite Eve.
It makes the battles feel important here.
Yeah. Like, especially since it almost can feel like a mini boss thing, considering how framed they are. But
this place didn't feel guarded up until this point, but now it feels like it, despite the lack of organic life form.
There's some.
Well, there is some, in terms of like, there's no like portrait characters here. There's no guards being like, hey, there's giant nondescript gears coming at us. But I like it.
Harkibus Make 10, which is bipedal tank things. Then you fight some Neo Musha Make 100s, which are Azaku-ass but slightly cooler, and they're holding Uzis.
And there's like a spear holding one too, isn't there?
Yeah, I think so. That's the Hanamoto Mark III, and then he's backed up by some mechanics.
I think we fought one of these in the battling arena.
Yeah, it was the purple samurai-looking Tom Cruise one.
Looking ass. Okay.
So I read some interesting trivia about these mechanics in one of the guides that I was looking at, because I'm cheating in a game I beat when I was 16.
I may have actually discovered this. Tell me if I got this right or not.
Go ahead.
You're talking about the mechanics that come along with the droids. I think these only occur in the random battles and not in the scripted sequences.
Well, there was one at this particular sequence, or maybe it was separate. I'm not sure, but there are also random battles with them.
I think if you leave one alive, he mercy heals you.
Yes, sometimes he'll toss a wrench at you and it hits you in the head and bonks you for 1 damage sometimes, but other times it'll fix like 200, 600 HP.
It's kind of like the fix bots in the early game.
Yeah, but these are like humans doing it.
Yeah.
There's
Don't kill me, I'll fix you.
Exactly. Squish you out. You also fight the, in random like after this sequence, random battles start happening. You fight the Shinobi Mark 0, which is a monkey-like gear that dodges everything and has Wolverine claws. It's like bluish purple. I only got one of those. I assumed it was a rarer enemy.
Yeah, I don't think I got one.
It's cool dude. But what else do you do in this dungeon? A lot.
There's a lot of conveyor belt puzzles, and I'll say puzzles in air quotes because they're not. It's really more just switch flipping stuff.
So hey, flip this switch. It's my favorite content.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's more engaging than just going from A to B in a dungeon. You actually have to do something.
It's something.
And feel there, but.
You also went around and flipped switches in Stalactite Cave, but we got to talk to a crazy old man who lived down there first.
Yeah. There are no wise men down here.
There's nobody down here. It's empty. It's just for Hammer, who's already turned off some of the facilities, infiltrated, didn't get himself shot, stole a gear.
I think he paid somebody off.
Yeah. He is master of information.
Yeah.
Master of secrets. So eventually, is that all you have before the boss?
Yeah, we get to the boss.
Phase 6.
Yeah, does that mean anything?
I don't think so. It has 6,800 HP. At first, when it said Fizz, I was thinking the fissure point that Wise Man told me to hit. But that's not probably an abbreviation for fissure.
Yeah, it's a very large, bulky gear. I think he
has tiny eyes.
Tiny eyes, and he's on a tread.
His shield has a logo of some sort on it. He's carrying like a circular shield.
He's got a shield and like a giant axe.
Laser axe.
Oh, yeah, laser axe. The shield actually has half of the Kislev emblem on it.
Oh, cool.
Is what I noticed.
So maybe it's like scrapped from something.
The Kislev emblem is it's like a axe and a cleaver, both hanging downward, like they're on a rack.
That's all you need.
And he has an axe on one hand and a symbol of that cleaver or whatever on the other hand. And so I guess it's just like,
Oh, I get it.
nationalist Kislev robot bot guy.
Yeah. It's like if we made our tanks look like bald eagles or something.
Yeah, but we get no dialogue from a pilot or anything like that. It just kind of comes out. So we don't even know if this thing is actually piloted.
We later find out it's the classic trope of a buffing boss that he has a mechanic called shift up that increases his speed, attack, and defense.
Yeah, as soon as he did that, I think I just used my booster ability or whatever.
Oh yeah, with bosses I hit booster immediately.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever been close to running out of fuel. HP a couple of times, but fuel I've always had plenty of. To me, like all of this stuff is easy as long as if you've maxed out your gears back at Hammer. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're gonna run through this guy pretty easily.
Yeah, I had no qualms with this bro right here.
Yeah, even when he did his shift up stuff, it didn't really affect me at all.
Yeah, so
that's all that's standing in the way between us and the Goliath.
Yeah, I know. I asked our friends on Twitter what's the best way to hijack an airship.
I almost replied with a picture of a blunt with wings on it because you spelled high wrong.
Oh, I did?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad.
So I wanted to make a pun about hijacking.
Oh, shit. Oh, yeah, I did, didn't I?
It's fine.
It's fine. It's Twitter. Of course, the correct answer is institute a heist via an opera, like we talked about earlier.
Right, yeah, that's the best ideal scenario, but you can't do that every time.
But we got from Prof. Rev, we got hide in a barrel.
Hell yeah.
That's okay. It's pretty good.
Hiding in a barrel solves more problems than you think in JRPGs.
Our friend Feld 4 says, do the Final Fantasy II option and wait for it to land and refuel, then sneak aboard.
Smart. That way you get a full tank, too.
And Hamill says, just get on board first, which is good.
Totally.
So,
you can't steal a ship if you're not on board. He's thinking ahead.
Yeah. None of you fuckers said anything about operas, so you all lose.
Let it go, Chris.
Very upset about this. I'm kidding. Thank you.
You know how people play Final Fantasy VI today? They play it on their phones with that shit-ass font and those shit-ass... Have you seen those graphics, how they're tiled weird and the sprites are redone, but nothing else is?
It makes me very uncomfortable.
It's so bad.
It actually kind of looks like it doesn't look as bad, but the Dragon Quest 1 through 3 ports,
God.
I hate the way
they look awful.
I hate the way they look. I really do. It's like, just if you're going to redo those, just redo them.
Fucking try it. Just fucking try a little bit. Pay some guy more than $10 to port this thing.
Yeah, it's bad.
Ugh.
I forgot that's the same company.
All right, so is that the end of this chapter?
It's not the end of the chapter, but it's the end of this section. Now we're into the cockpit of this thing. We're in the cockpit, and Rico's like, I get a load of this. I can't believe they make such a thing, which... Okay, you live in Kislev your whole life, my dude.
Oh, is this the part where I'm supposed to be scared?
Well, it's like when they're sailing in the boat in Lord of the Rings and they see the statues and say, I didn't know men could build such things because this guy's never been anywhere.
Yeah. You pilot a giant robot, dude.
People look at him and say, I didn't know men could build such things.
Yeah, that's true. And then I noticed here that Seitan is here, and I'm like, well, I didn't bring his ass here.
Yeah, how did he get here?
This is one of those RPGs that just, it's implied that all your whole party is traveling with you.
I guess, but if I'm going to a location to leave somebody behind, he's sitting his ass there. Like, there's no option in my menu to switch out my party anywhere.
Seitan made it here without us, I guess.
So it's a really good tease. You get on this airship, and you're like, yes, my airship. It doesn't have a save point on the bridge, just like airships should.
Yes, and Seitan is like, I don't really know how to work this thing, but we're gonna figure it out, guys. Don't worry.
He chastises Faye for stealing it without knowing how to fly it, and then Seitan decides to fly it anyway.
Yeah.
There's some weird noises going on in the airship, too, as Seitan's kind of tinkering with stuff, figuring stuff out.
Tinkering with his junk?
I think to move on, tinkering with his junk, Seitan does it a lot. To move on, you have to talk to, you can talk to Rico and Hammer a little bit. But if you talk to Seitan, he says, are you going to think ahead, or are you going to help? What did you choose?
I think I said help.
Okay, I said that I wasn't going to think ahead. I chose to wait around and not help, and Seitan told me to stay calm a little longer, and he figured out how to fly it.
Oh, okay.
What happened to you? Did he just say, okay, let's do this?
Pretty much the same thing happened, I think.
Okay.
I could be
I just
wrong
thought, he was a little bit like, fucking good plan, Faye. You stole the ship. No one knows how to fly a fucking ship. You have to do everything. Of course he knows how to fly it. He's just giving a shit.
Then they actually figure out how to launch it, and it's a pretty cool launch sequence, right?
Yeah, there's a propeller spinning noise for a takeoff. It's your classic. Does it come out of like a hangar or something before it? Yeah. There's like a low camera drop, and it films it flying upward.
Yeah.
And we get a brand new music track.
Yeah, what track is that?
Wings.
Wings. Like the USA comedy.
Wow. Brian Weber, big fan. Tony Shalhoub.
Yeah, Tony Shalhoub's one of his first major roles. Tony Shalhoub's great.
Yeah, so they steal the Spruce Goose. It plays Wings. This is our airship music for the entire game. What are your thoughts on this airship music?
The airship music is great. But it's nothing more than airship music.
Yeah, well, they always have really good intros, real good starters, but then it kind of just drifts off into like B-tier world map music.
I guess I was more so overcome the fact that this was introducing us to the airship music itself and making us feel like this is going to be our airship.
Yeah, they really sell it.
Yeah, when I knew, good and well that this was not going to be our airship, but I could see that somebody playing this for the first time is like, hell yeah, now the game is going to open up.
I mean, I kind of forgotten because in other games, you get a progression of vehicles before you get your main ass vehicle. And I thought this was like a step on the way to whatever our airship's going to be, but you don't even really get to fly it.
No, and a lot of RPGs at this point in time would allow themselves to open up from an exploration standpoint as soon as you get the airship, and so you start to get the feeling that that's going to happen here in this video game.
Yeah,
but that is not what is going to happen in this game.
We're flying this steel Spruce Goose looking ass thing with a nonsense rear propeller below the jet engine, which I don't know if you know anything about planes, but the planes don't have propellers at the very base of it at the back.
Yeah,
those are called helicopters most of the time.
This seemed way too easy.
Yeah,
to hijack this thing.
Yeah, they just took this shit. So instead, we meet a brick wall. What's that brick wall?
Well, something's coming.
Something is in the window.
If you thought this game was going to get regular for a minute, it is not.
Yeah,
it is not taking its daily fiber supplements.
It plays the music a little bit before you can clearly tell who it is, too.
And the music is Grahf, Emperor of Darkness. And guess who's coming?
Grahf, Emperor of Darkness?
Indeed. He's standing on the shoulder of his gear like he always does. And I don't know if we've ever talked about this on this podcast, about how Grahf likes to just stand on the shoulder of his gear. And it's the best flex in video games ever.
It's a baller move.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like
really good.
Yeah. If he didn't have the whole shebang, like if he didn't have his whole costume out there and he was just some guy standing there, it would still be cool.
Yeah.
But the costume really it's like,
I wonder if he has like an autopilot thing or if it's all just ball. Like, remember the episode of The Simpsons where Homer was a truck driver and figured out how to an autopilot, then rode around on the hood for the rest of the time?
Yeah, I present you an alternative here. Remember how we saw like the Demon of Elru?
Yeah.
He was able to pilot his gear sort of like via the ether or whatever.
Yeah.
And have it kind of float in front of it.
Like a neural link type thing.
And we're about to see Grahf do some wild shit anyway, so...
Demon of Elru also hand-fought gears too.
Yeah. And so maybe Grahf also shares a similar power or control of chi or ether or whatever.
He can use force lightning. He's just that good.
Yep.
So when they see him, there's a pretty good sequence where Faye just kind of is like, had it. He's had enough of it.
Yeah, he doesn't even wait for Grahf to like give a speech.
No, he's like, God damn it, and then just kind of leaves. But the best part of this is it's subtle. Rico doesn't even say anything. He just follows him out there because Rico's down to brawl.
Yeah. He doesn't need an excuse to kick the crap out of anybody.
Yeah, he knows what needs to be done. If Faye's going to fight somebody, damn it, he's going to fight somebody too.
Ellie goes too.
Yeah, of course. She's like, tag along.
Hers is out of like concern.
Yeah, yeah. So
Grahf, he definitely doesn't want to kill us.
No. He's mad. This wasn't part of his scenario.
Yeah, we have disrupted his scenario, which maybe is the first time we have disrupted Grahf's scenario. Like, I don't know if he wanted the purge thing to happen or not. He either didn't want the purge to happen or he trusted that Faye would come out on top.
Yeah.
Because he wants Faye's power. He doesn't want Faye to die.
He seeks the power. But Grahf is on the deck and he's got some idle, it's like some fighting game idle animation where he's kind of hulking out next to you.
He says the Goliath was not built for us to use.
Yeah.
Which implies that he knows why the Goliath was built.
He says, you must remain on this land a little longer. I can't allow you to leave.
Yeah. I wonder if perhaps this is a test of power or if he is literally trying to just stop us from leaving. Like he says he's stopping to leave us, but I think
he is offering no one else power at this moment.
True.
He is upset that either the Goliath was part of his plans or that we're on this thing.
He's doing this himself.
Yeah.
So that implies we are really breaking the bounds of his particular scenario.
Some actions he takes a few scenes later also imply that this was not part of his plans.
And we get to the battle.
Yeah, he's just outside of his gear fighting you.
He knows a move that Faye knows.
Super guided shot.
And did you notice he does Dragon Ball Z shit right here? He flies up in the air and he throws chi down at the gears.
Multiple. Both hands.
But every time one explodes, like a kanji emerges out of it.
Yeah. I wanted to see if we could look that up or figure out what that means. That's probably impossible.
Yeah, I couldn't find anything. If you're listening and you can read kanji, let us know, please, and we will give you $1.
We'll give you an atomic fireball in the mail.
I will not give you $1. You can give us $1 and join our Patreon.
That's right.
Grahf also has sick combos.
Super sick combos.
Super sick combos.
This is also where I learned in Gears you can't do your Deathblow combos on small people. You can only do fuel attacks.
Yeah. I noticed that his gear is not a participant in the battle.
Yeah, it just kind of sits there.
It's standing there with his arms folded like he's watching kids on the playground or something.
Dude. That's the Grahf moon pose right there.
Fucking awesome.
Yeah, it looks great. It is great framing for this entire scene.
This whole scene reminds me, back when I had like a Nokia phone, Grahf Emperor of Darkness was my ringtone.
Nice. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Wow, dot matrix, like the Snake phone, 5100?
Yeah.
Cool.
Is the battle music also Grahf Emperor of Darkness? Like, it never changed to...
Ooh, I don't know. I don't know offhand. We'll have to consult the fake net on that for a yes or no answer.
Initializing fake net.
Yes, of course it played Grahf Emperor of Darkness. What else would they be playing, dipshit?
Thank you, fake net. I'm pretty sure it is, though.
I just told you that.
So, we beat him, right?
Yeah, well, you can lose this fight, but I beat him.
Oh, if you lose the fight, is it game over? Or
No, it's just, it proceeds.
That's nice.
I mean, either way, I think is canon.
He says, when you beat him, he says, so you can now draw upon more of your power. And the camera pans into, I guess, inside to the Goliath.
Mm-hmm.
And Citan is doing some wild moves on the plane.
Yeah.
Like it's like he's playing pilot wings for the first time. He doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah, he's trying to fly it.
Yeah.
After Grahf says that power line, he says, if that's the case, then, and then trails off with that Citan part. But yeah, Citan out of nowhere does some plane steering moves and like jerks it, and Grahf tumbles away and his gear cartoon spirals off the side of it.
Yeah. It's just going wild right here.
It's like when your action figures, like you hit the tray table with your knee and they all fucking fly off of it.
There's some not great localization right here with the line of dialogue that Hammer says.
What does Hammer say?
He says, Master Citan, it's all right to throw the black creep. But Bro and Master Rico as well? Question mark.
Oh boy.
Like, okay.
Yeah. Black creep is not what you want.
I think
there.
he's referring to Graf's costume.
Yeah, he is notified as black a lot of the time. Maybe his gear is black.
By the way, if you're listening to this podcast and you're wondering why we haven't really discussed the inspiration for Graf's costume, it's because it might be a spoiler, so we're going to not discuss that until later.
Oh, also I don't know it.
There's a lot of interviews where the character designers and Kato and I think Takahashi talked about where the inspiration for this stuff came from, but it might spoil some stuff. So we'll get there when we get there.
It's not laziness or negligence, listeners.
Many things that we forget are negligence.
Yeah, many of them, not
but
this one.
In this particular case, no.
So what happens to Grahf happens to the Decepticons all the time in the original Transformers cartoons. It's like the most villainous cartoon, just stupid thing to happen to eliminate a problem very quickly. But that doesn't get rid of the problem, does it?
No. Grahf has, I think he's actually inside of his gear now,
yes,
right?
he's being serious now, and he's gotten inside of his gear, which he somehow like did some kind of Arnold Schwarzenegger in Eraser when he like jumps out of the plane and has to catch the parachute on the way down.
Where is this?
Earth. Welcome.
Yeah.
Like Grahf did that to his gear somehow.
Yeah, that's really good.
So Citan makes Hammer get on this mounted gun, and Hammer pulls up a red bullseye interface. Quick question, Chris. Do you think Hammer's fired a gun?
Yes.
I think he's a big knife guy, but you think guns?
I think he's fired a gun because he's a swindling motherfucker.
Yeah, but they have knives. Like, he can't manage a gun on D block.
Yeah, it's true. I don't think he has, but he aims the laser and he shoots it.
Yeah, he does real well.
This is reminiscent of like the Star Wars scene where they send Luke down to the gunning station. And Luke has no fucking clue what to do, but he ends up being okay.
He's all right. Well, he uses the Force, right?
And we had previously wondered if maybe Hammer was working for Grahf, because Hammer is...
He's working for somebody.
He's working for somebody. We don't know who. And either he's selling it here.
Yeah, doing a real good sell.
Yeah, or he's genuinely concerned for his safety.
I have an egregious error in Oversight. My note says my guy Grahf is still riding on the shoulder of his gear, which is at this point is just being done for intimidation. So I don't think he got back in the gear. He's on the shoulder. At least when Hammer shoots him for the close-up, he got out and he's like...
An even better flex then.
Yeah, in the Magneto pose on the shoulder.
So after he makes contact with the gun, this was always one of my favorite lines in this game because it was so dumb.
It's very popular.
It's very popular. I probably used it as an away message more than once.
Yeah. Definitely. If you know what that is, congratulations.
Yeah. Thanks. I know at least some of you on here are, around the age of 35. He says, Master, sir, did you just see my mad skills?
Mad skills capitalized.
With a Z.
Yeah. Very 1998.
Then he says, I might just be a genius, which is also a great line.
If this were localized 6 years later, it would have like the Snoop Dogg Iggity on it somewhere.
Yeah.
Like that's the level that we're dealing with on this.
Yeah.
Izzle.
It might as well just be 50 Cent, Blood in the Sand.
Yo, 50, jump over that big ass rim. We should play that game. It's co-op. It's co-op.
Okay. Sure. Why not?
Okay.
Subscribe to our Patreon.
How you like it?
So Rico sneaks up behind Hammer and then just wallops him as Hammer's bragging to Sidon.
Yeah, I don't understand this part.
Yeah. I think like Rico doesn't like bravado, especially from somebody like Hammer. When Rico was out there doing like the real hard work, beating this guy hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah.
Hammer just gets on this gun that was on the plane the entire time that he could have shot him with anyway, I guess, and did that.
Rico and Hammer have like a relationship of some sort.
It's pretty goofy,
but I don't quite get it. We haven't seen a lot of background on that. I guess just because they're both staples of D-Block.
How many people do you work with that you know the names of?
A lot.
Like if you wound up on a ship with like some guy that you know not that well, but like you have one or two jokes between you and you're at a conversation, you just start like Rico's solution is just to start beating the shit out of him.
Yeah.
Like that's his way to express himself once all conversation options have been exhausted.
Very true.
So Ellie says something pretty weird here next.
Yeah. She says, that person wasn't aiming for me. Why?
Yeah.
And I thought when she said this, I thought, Ellie, that's because he knows why you're important.
Right.
He's either seen the portrait in Nissan or he knows more than maybe even Sidon does.
Yeah. That works on two ways because one, she doesn't know that he doesn't want to harm her. Two, she thinks she's wanted and that may be an agent of Solaris or something like that.
Yeah.
Like who does Grahf work for at this point and why does she assume it's like some kind of Black Ops agent from Solaris or like just some dude she knows that she had an interaction with in the past?
Yeah, it's weird.
Does Ellie know Grahf? Question mark.
I would like to go back and understand if Grahf ever attacks Ellie during that battle. That would be interesting way of framing that. I'm sure it's probably not the case, but
that would be really cool No, it definitely attacked Ellie in that battle. Everybody took damage in that. So Sidon tells Faye not to think about, quote, that man in black, which, fuck off, Sidon.
Yeah. Faye has a bad feeling about this, and he feels very uneasy.
He's experiencing anxiety.
He is.
He feels like he's being watched.
We all do, Faye.
Why does he feel like that, though?
Well, yes. Faye is being watched. He's being watched by a periscope.
With a green screen.
I think we've seen a green screen periscope before.
But where? The person behind the periscope thinks it's going to Bledevik.
Yeah, and I wrote in my notes here, God, I hope it's Bart.
Yes.
Because I do miss Bart.
Who was it, Chris?
It's Bart. He is preparing the Gungani. No, the Bart missiles. They're fueling up. So they've got some Bart missiles going on here.
Yeah, they're at Batcon level 1. The Yggdrasil theme plays, but it's a sped up version this time.
It's the other track. It's the slow building one, right? The slow building one with the flute.
Oh, yeah.
That track is called Leftovers from the Dreams of the Strong. I like that song a lot. I like it better than the regular one. It's a slow build. It's very like heroic sounding.
Yeah. But it's not just Bart. Old Mason's here. Sigurd's here. Everybody enters in. All your friends are back from the
Franz
dead.
is not hearing any hot sounds currently, other than the surface, wind waves, and their engine. Sonar is okay too, because I am a dolphin. That's not what he says, but I paraphrase it that way. He tells Bart that the sonar looks okay, and I'm like, Yeah, the sonar looks
yes, it
okay.
does.
You're a dolphin, my guy.
Nailed it. So they open fire on the Goliath, right? Just toss a Bartweiser.
Yeah, this whole scene is almost a perfect export of the scene leading up to the scene when they attack the Ave transport.
Yeah.
Like almost all the Batcon level 1, Old Mason being pissed that Bart is doing things.
Doing something rash. They just reset to their old ways immediately after stealing Margie. Like they're just out there doing hood rat shit again.
At one point, Old Mason says that in order to fire the Gungani missiles, that we need permission from half the crew, and Bart does not have that.
Yeah, you can tell that's like a rule they made the last time something went bad that Bart agreed to nonchalantly and then has no intention of keeping his oath.
And when it finally pans out, we see that the Yggdrasil is floating through the sea and not the sand.
Yeah. At this point, it goes back to Sidon, and somebody asked if he's worried, and he says he picked a course over the sea to avoid stuff like this, but the Yggdrasil is a submarine now.
Yeah, apparently. He's like, yeah, we're good. There's no military out here.
Right on cue, he's hit, and then a noise alarm comes out.
Yep, we are about to be owned, and we're going down.
It is hilarious that they beat the shit out of Grahf, and they're taken down by Bart. That is some really good writing, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cliche, but it's really, it works for this game really well right here.
Yeah. Everyone's freaking out, and Sidon's like, get in your gears and get out of here.
Yeah, Faye doesn't want to.
Yeah, why? He's...
I don't know. His weird anxiety that he's experiencing. Sidon asks if he has the skills necessary to keep this thing flying. Hammer runs in circles. And Sidon says, now then, and then kicks Hammer out so no one can see the shit Sidon's about to do by himself.
Yeah. And Sidon notices at that point who it was. And he comments that like Sigurd needs to improve his method of discipline.
Yeah, of proving discipline to him.
Yeah.
Which that's very Sidon to like, the ship he's in, the airship that he has no parachute in is on fire. And he's like... Very well. Very good, Sigurd. Old pal, old friend.
Yeah, so the shit goes down and there's a giant explosion in the sea.
Yeah, it's a real good shot of the Goliath crashing down.
Yeah. It doesn't just go into the water. Like, it explodes. Like, there's a payload up on board of the Goliath that maybe was not implied beforehand. Like, it doesn't just kind of sink.
Bart's very excited about this. He says, "Rahaha, that's the power of the Bart missile," which was like a giant red missile that looked like it was approximately a third of the size of the Yggdrasil when it came out. So they have a pocket dimension they're pulling these missiles from.
Sure. They're Transformers after all.
So when the Goliath crashes, what's it crash into is it skids out. The Yggdrasil.
What?
Yeah, it makes contact with the Yggdrasil.
It does?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
I could have hallucinated that, but it created a giant sea explosion. I thought that they made contact with it.
Oh, maybe so. I mean...
Initializing fake net.
The Goliath did indeed crash into the Yggdrasil. Please enjoy the sound capture of it happening.
But before we get to any of the recovery sequence...
We get fax machine noises.
We get fax machine noises, and we are back to our villainous pal, Ramsus.
His Solarian battleship.
Is Ramsus, at this point in the game, the primary antagonist, besides Grahf?
Yeah, I guess. As far as being a main threat to Faye's existence, sure. Shocken's been kind of wasted in the background.
Yeah,
right?
there's a rivalry that has sort of developed between Ramsus and Faye and Bart and everybody. So
he says they have coordinates N24 and E92 and Ignis for the source of some major vibrations.
Dimensional vibrations. Maybe that it was what that explosion just was.
They know it's a gatekeeper from the wave patterns.
Yeah, that is the second or third time we've heard the term gatekeeper.
Yeah.
So are we to... Does that suggest that there was the gatekeeper was on the Goliath?
Yeah, I don't know what that means. I don't remember, but come on, it's fucking Faye, right? Like, Faye's been chosen one into a bunch of stuff. He's definitely that too, right? Like, who else aboard this? I mean, maybe Ellie. She's also special.
So
we saw that painting.
A person?
Sure.
I think it's an item.
Oh, maybe.
Because remember that thing that that Graf's representative delivered to Sigmund?
Yeah, to pass through gates.
Yeah. I'm thinking that is the gatekeeper, and later we hear some more conversations about the gatekeeper being in Kislev. So I'm thinking that the gatekeeper was a device that exploded.
Maybe on the Goliath.
Yeah.
But Ramsus drops some strange nomenclature here. He says, could it be Shavat's Afal Aura?
Yeah.
What the hell does that mean?
This is the second mention of Shavat, I believe. The first mention of Shavat was by Wiseman in the gear dock.
Right. It's where Faye's parents were from.
And they kind of leave it at that. He also mentions that.
Well, he's told no. The mass is different.
Oh, right, gotcha. Okay, it's different than that. So we don't know what the Eiffel aura is at all, or we don't have any suggestions.
No idea. I don't even know that's mentioned again.
We haven't done the etymology of Shavat yet. I don't think we'll probably do that until later. But so I have no insight into that yet.
Hebrew, Jewish.
I think it's Hebrew,
yeah.
but we don't know. We haven't really put it all together yet. We will probably get to that at some point. This is why I think the gatekeeper is an item, because somebody says, didn't write down who this was. It says, somebody says, if the lambs have a ship with a gatekeeper, it was definitely the Goliath. I believe that means that the crate that we were just discussing was on the Goliath at some point.
Okay, they don't know
that.
The Grahf's representative gave him. Okay,
yeah,
that makes sense.
That's why maybe that's the reason why the Goliath is so powerful.
That flows. Yeah, good point, Chris.
And then fucking the lights go out.
Oh man, when this happened, I raised my hands above my head. What happens?
The lights go out and there's a bunch of electrical interference and Grahf phases in.
Yes, it makes the phase noise. It's an extended version of the phase noise too.
Is this like a dramatic effect?
Fuck yeah.
But is it a indication of his phasing power? Does it like knock out the LEDs?
Oh, good question. Does it absorb all the electricity around? Well, last time it was night, so we didn't really get to see what happened when he phased into Ramsus and Miang's bedroom, right?
Yeah.
So possibly we'll have to research further on that to see if it just shorts out everything, like he's drawing all the power.
We'll note if that happens again.
Man of the power draws the power. But Ramsus's first line after this happens isn't surprise or shock. What does he say?
I don't have it.
Damn you. He's like, oh, this bullshit from this guy.
Like, you could just show up on here. Like, what the hell, man?
So Grahf shows up and he says, shouldn't you peruse? The one who caused you so much pain and grief is on that ship, and it's headed for Akovi.
Yes, specifically, let's talk about the line, the one who caused you so much pain and grief is on that ship.
Yes.
We know that Ramsus is obsessed with defeating the demon of Elru. We know that from his dreams and from that.
It's all he thinks about.
Yeah. So the demon of Elru
is on that ship.
Is on the ship.
Could that be the gatekeeper in the box? Have they trapped it and that's how you move through stuff?
Or maybe something else. I don't know. Players who are playing this game the first time, try to figure it out.
I have no idea. I'm just speculating.
Grahf says that the ship is heading for Akovi.
Which is the first time we've heard that, I think we meant to assume it's some kind of water-based place, but I think that's actually another Hebrew word.
Yeah, I think we could probably go ahead and point this out, but this is like an archipelago on the map, off the coast of the Ignis continent.
So Grahf immediately phases out after he says that, and we get a slow night of fire.
We do. I really don't like slow night of fire.
Yeah, it conflicts with my belief of how that thing should be played out.
Yeah, it breaks my brain.
I want my energy to be up.
Yes, it breaks my brain slightly.
I mean, even slow, though, it's still better than most songs in existence.
It is.
Right?
This track is used a lot, and I'm going to cite the Resonant Arc YouTube video on this game again. We'll link that, but I didn't think about this, but that video pointed out the fact that this game only has about 45 tracks, and its contemporary Final Fantasy VII has almost double that. And this is a longer game than Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, so it gets recycled more.
Yeah, so we get a lot more songs that are being used. I think we get like we get Faraway Promise a whole lot in these next few sequences too. Night of Fire is maybe, I'm not going to say that it's bad that it's here, but like I wish that there was another song for these scenes because I like the regular Night of Fire so much.
Yeah, if you just want to save for something special.
Yeah.
But I mean, when music's reused like this, the main music that I grew up loving were for fighting games in this because it's the same songs you heard over and over and over. Like, I kind of don't like one-offs a whole lot, even though that's where usually most of the money goes for a lot of those songs. Yeah.
So that song starts when Grahf leaves, and then Ramsus orders an attack.
He goes apeshit.
Yeah.
He gets consumed by this again. He orders an attack. I think he denies orders from the capital, which causes Miang to say, oh, fuck this, and then leave.
Yeah, Miang she's protesting because they don't have the orders yet, and Ramsus, he just does not
he's seeing red. He can't think about anything else. Like, he needs to go figure out what the hell just happened right here, right now. And
Miang walks into the hallway, and guess what? The lights go out.
Yeah.
And Grahf is back. He needs to have a one-on-one conversation with Miang. We know these two have worked together in the past.
I wonder if the lights also go out on the bridge, and Ramsus just knows that Grahf is somewhere else on the ship.
Or through a radius. Oh, man. He's like when Pigpen walks into the classroom, you always know that the poor kid who stinks.
So I think he only has one line, right? He says, I believe I already said that your tricks will do no good to Miang.
Yeah, and Miang says she's just trying to help, and she reminds Grahf that she helped get the shackles off.
Right.
And
she says, now you know the vessel will only respond to the chosen one. They don't know this, but he's necessary for Kar. He's the very meaning of Kar's existence. I must thank you. Was it for me or for him or for yourself?
So
Grahf does not reply. He faces out.
The vessel will only respond to the chosen one. So Faye has to be one of those two things, right?
Right. The vessel or the chosen one?
Yeah.
Yeah. In Car is Ramsus' name, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So that's implying that they kind of need each other like rivals need each other? Like a villain can exist without a hero type thing?
Yeah.
But where do you stand on that? Which one are you?
Yeah. I see. I'm not sure how how we're supposed to interpret the relationship of Miang and Grahf at this point.
I thought it was like a subordinate girlfriend type thing.
I don't
when
know.
I first played, like at this point in the game, you know,
Yeah.
she's his accessory, his envoy.
I feel like, I don't know if, it feels like maybe each one of them is trying to play the other. Because
Maybe
Miang took off the shackles, and was there some sort of shackle that
each one between Grahf and Miang or Miang and Ramsus?
No, I'm talking about Miang and Grahf.
Okay, I was talking about that. Okay, go ahead.
The relationship between Miang and Grahf is interesting because she talks about taking off his shackles, or taking off some shackles. I'm guessing that maybe Graf's power, or Grahf himself, was shackled by something that Miang was able to did she rub the genie lamp and get him out?
I read that as maybe if they're talking about Faye, she's also guiding him on his path and like took off the shackles of Lahan Village, maybe.
Oh, so
that was isolating him there. That's just where I put from that.
The sick combo shackles.
Yeah,
basically.
to me, Grahf needs help from no man, but could use some assistance from others.
It's interesting. I have no memory of the Miang and Grahf relationship. So
no, in my head when I remembered it was all Miang and Ramsus all the time. So a Gebler ship gets deployed after this, and I guess it comes out of that little hatch.
Yeah, from Bledvidik.
Yeah.
Bled.
You can do it.
Bledvik.
Yes.
Bledvik.
Very good. And we're to assume Dominion's piloting that, correct?
I'm not sure. It doesn't really... Oh, yeah, it does. It says there's an announcement that they will take boundary gates between 1 and 2, the shortest way to Aquavi.
Yeah. Message from Kelvena. Dominia is withdrawing in Hashino. She's on it.
Yeah, she will pursue as well. So I guess Dominia is on her way as well.
Yeah. So there's some more terms that are just tossed out there.
Yeah, and then we fade and we come back to televisions floating in the sky. So thanks for listening today. We'll get to that the next scene at the top of the next episode. If you would like to follow us on Twitter, you can find us on Twitter at RetroAmnesiaPod. Send us an email at retrogradeamnesiapodcast@gmail.com. Visit us on Patreon, patreon.com/retroam. Subscribe, like, all that good stuff. Thank you to all our listeners. Thank you to all our patrons. Thank you to Mark Shepard for the intro track. It sounds great, and I can't wait to dissect this track in a lot more detail in a couple of weeks. And thank you, Eric Lehman.
Yes, support. What is my line?
For joining me.
Yes, you're welcome.
Tonight. And until next time.
Yes, we're going to kill God.
And now, you may go back to sleep. Having a bad day here. I guess we're going to cut this out.
Yup.
Oh, here's my yelling daddy.
I left my notes in the copier, so I anticipate having the Fight Club conversation with my boss tomorrow morning.
I am to find out more.
Yokai Watch.
We're doing a Yokai Watch.
Fucking point at me. You pointed at me like I was supposed to talk.
This is the internet.
You've got mail. Goodbye.